going on, guys? Charles Weinraub, AKA the Handsome Homebuyer. Banger of a podcast this week as I stare at this phallic microphone. We have Justin Pane, the Robinhood of the mortgage world. This gentleman has been going head-to-head with banks for decades. He's one of the best, if not the best, I've ever met. Tons of tips, tricks, unique things for investors, note buyers. Definitely one you want to check out. We appreciate it. Like, subscribe, follow, and as always, leave a comment. Yeah, kid. Welcome everybody back to another episode of the Handsome Homebuyer podcast. My name is Charles, aka the Handsome Homebuyer, aka Captain Permit, aka from the cheap seats.
El Rio Maravilloso.
It gets a little better every single time. Today's guest, awesome. Finally just met him. Was introduced to him by his older brother. We've been doing a ton of work together, and I hope to do even more. I feel like meeting you, by the way, has unlocked this insane ability to just make money, take advantage of certain like loopholes in the real estate world, just inspire me to do crazy shit. Like I'm fired up, man. Like every
breaking down barriers is what you're doing.
I feel like I'm finally using the law to my advantage in the most efficient and intelligent way with one of the best guys in real estate to do it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah, no, it's important to understand your rights and your obligations under the law, because most of the time people are being scrutinized by the law or impaired in your line of work. I'm assuming it's, between you, what you were saying before, the stop work orders and this, it seems like the law is always pressing down on you. It's nice to be liberated by the law and push back with it or use it in your favor.
Levy, do you know who upholds and protects against the permit laws?
It's that captain guy.
Captain Permit, 516-513-8838. If you need plans, permits, anything permit related, we got you tip to tip, Montauk to Queens, 516-513-8838. And obviously, if you have a house that smells like cat pee, land, commercial property, non-performing notes now, we're going to talk about that. Anything real estate related, I'm quick. Well, in certain aspects, I'm easy. I'm a good time.
In certain aspects.
I want to buy it. 516-777 sold. So with that said, we have Justin Pane.
You did a very good job. That was very Italian.
I did the arm thing. If I didn't do the arm, I'm half Sicilian, right?
Really?
My mother's 100% Sicilian. My dad is half Russian, half Polish, born in Canarsie.
Really?
That's where
Did you know that I'm half Puerto Rican?
Yes, I did.
Okay, yeah. Most people, they for the ones that don't butcher my name, 4 letters. P-A-N-E.
Yes.
It's Pane, it's Pane, it's Pane, it's Pane. Pane. I tell people all the time, like,
Pane.
You ever go to that place where they sell the bread, like a Panera?
Yeah.
Just knock off the R-A and there I am.
That's an interesting.
Pane. Panera.
It's a good name. Everybody loves Italian culture.
They like our food.
It's a sexy culture, the food. But now you add in Latin fire. So it's probably, when you really think about it, it's probably the best combination you can get.
I love it. It hasn't hurt me.
But you ever see, you don't have really into social media, which we're going to talk about, but have you seen those TikToks have you seen TikTok?
Sometimes they come up on the Instagram feed. There'll be some random person dancing for about 30 seconds and then...
Levy, you seen the TikToks where basically people to music and they pour water in a sink in different amounts and they say like how they built their boyfriend or their girlfriend?
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, I don't know, sexy, whatever. Like
intelligent, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're designing in my past life, what I would think could be the perfect woman, Puerto Rican, Italian, it's like the right blend, man. It's like the right blend of watered down crazy. That's like just enough to keep you on your toes, but it's not enough fire that's going to like burn you up and leave you on the side of the road. Like what
she'll
the
love
heck?
you forever, but she may beat you.
Yes, but after she does, she'll cook for you.
100%. A beautiful meal.
Yes, exactly. So it's like it's the perfect balance. So essentially, you're that male equivalent.
I would like to. Basically, that sums me up right there. Beautiful. I'll cook for you, I'll slap you around, but I'll love you forever.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. And you're a handsome dude. I know your brother, very charismatic guy as well. Like we were talking about before. Now you're 36 years old. He's 38 years old. So you guys are now adults. It's a different story. But early 20s, I can imagine. was absolute and complete and total pandemonium.
My poor mother, my father wasn't around. So, a single mother raising 3 Hellraiser boys. And like the house rule was, I'll bail you out your first time. And that was like just the rule. That we
really?
The first time she would bail us
What,
out.
per type of incident?
Just the first time you need to get bailed out, she will be there. But then after that, you're on your own.
Like bailed out of jail or bailed out of the situation?
This criminal prosecution.
okay.
Like regular situations, that was just, we took care of our own.
But you know what's interesting? It's interesting that she knew you guys well enough to set that up from the beginning. She's like, this is going to happen, just so you know.
She was losing hair at a point. She was like, her stress level was so high. I mean, she's a single mother working to keep food on the table. Her boys are running around crazy. And she was just like losing hair because, we were just bad kids. We didn't really have much supervision. My mom was working a lot. My grandmother was over a lot. So she would, cook and take care of us as much as she could. But, grandma didn't have like the reins on the boys. And we just learned right and wrong the hard way by doing wrong every single time and then having to learn the lesson afterwards rather than just heeding the advice of someone else saying, don't do this because of X, Y, and Z. Yeah. So it was school of hard knocks.
How, that must have been, but how was it having 2 brothers though? Like
awesome. We were so close. We were always so close. And it was, again, that fiery love-hate. It was funny. I was at a bar association event and they were talking about just communication skills. And it was like a prompt occasion where they give you a card with some random question on it and you have to speak about it with a stranger next to you. And the card was, when was the last time you got into a physical fight with somebody?
You don't strike me as that kind of guy.
I was a hothead.
Yeah?
I was really, now you could punch me in the face and I'd be like, that was pretty good. But when I was young, I was a hothead, as per my assault record and whatnot from earlier years. But so I get this card. It was, when was the last time I got to fight? And I started laughing at myself. Last time I got into a fight was with my older brother. It was 2000.
Like you and him?
So it was 2005 or 6. It was before I got married. So it was before I got married. So it was 2006. I was on probation at the time. So I couldn't get in any trouble. And I had quit drinking at this point. I just quit drinking. So actually, it must have been 2007 because I quit drinking in 2006. So my brother and my friends, I took them out. And I was always a designated driver. And they were doing the wrong thing. They had the wrong things on them. And I told them, I was like, listen, I can't get pulled over with the wrong things being on you because I'm on probation and I will go to jail for this. So whatever you have in your pockets, take it out now. So everyone out the window and convinced me that it was okay. So the night's over. I drive them back to my brother's house and I'm done with them. Like they're all a mess. They're intoxicated the whole night. I'm like, I'm done with you guys. So I leave. And it occurred to me, I was like, I don't believe them. I don't believe that they really empty their pockets. So I do a one back and I come back to the my brother's property and I see them all going through the car. Like they got the seats up and everything like that. I'm like, these motherfuckers lied to me. And I punched both my friends. I was punching Sal. I fought everyone on the property. And I'm looking at this. So back to why I was even speaking about this. This attorney's looking at this. He's staring at me like, I can't believe I'm even sitting next to this person. He's like, I've never been into a fist fight before. I was like, this is very awkward.
How old were you at the time?
Oh, that was 2006. So was I 22? 22. So yeah, that was the last time.
Were you in school to be an attorney at that point?
No. So I graduated high school. Wanted to become an attorney, went to Penn State on a baseball scholarship.
No shit.
And then I met my wife at Penn State freshman year, but I was a drunk back then. So we knew each other, but we never dated or anything like that. But I kept good grades, but I partied out at Penn State. I had like a great GPA, but I got thrown out because I kept getting in trouble. I like arrested, criminal.
You literally got thrown out of Penn State.
Yeah, I was told I cannot come back. Not because of my grades, but because of my off-campus conduct. And they rightly so. So I transferred to St. John's. I graduated from St. John's in Queens. And again, why I quit drinking was Memorial Day weekend, 2006. Me and my drunk, stupid friends from college decided to go to Atlantic City. We're doing really well on the poker table. And I win like, I don't know, $2,000, which at 21 years old, it's like $1 million.
Yeah.
So party on me. My buddy's got a place down in Avalon on the Jersey Shore. And we're partying at some bar, and I get into a blackout. I don't remember anything. And
wow.
Apparently,
what was your drink of choice? Just out of curiosity.
Anything I get my hands on. But if I could have chewed, because I was poor back then, so I used to drink like burgundy wine, whatever I can get my hands on. But if I had a choice, it was Bombay Sapphire on the rocks. I like gin.
Did you like the taste of alcohol?
When I was younger, no, but over time, I grew up an affinity for it. I enjoyed waking up in the morning, brushing my teeth with it.
Really?
But so I would go out, I get blacked out, and I'm so drunk, I am convinced I'm on Fire Island. I forget that I'm in the state of Jersey. I forget that I forget all this. So I'm like, I'm just gonna go to Patchogue and go crash at my brother's place. So I stole a boat because I was convinced I was gonna go across the Great South Bay, which is wide open, so I don't even have to drive the boat. So I stole a boat. Some poor guy apparently was out fishing that night, left his boat with the keys in it to go get more bait and food, and was going to come right back. And in between that, I stumbled on his boat, stole his boat, and head across the Great South Bay. I'm somewhere in some area of Avalon, Jersey, Cape May. And I wind up hitting some like sandbar at like 40 miles per hour. It snaps the boat in half. Like the engine got lodged in, launched me off the boat. Snaps the boat in half.
You remember all this?
Bits and pieces. I remember being on the boat. I remember getting thrown off. I remember crawling around this like area, like not even knowing what happened. I had no idea what happened.
Wow. By yourself?
Yeah, by myself. I just wandered off.
Friends like no idea where you went.
And it was just a normal occurrence. Like we didn't really make phone calls to police, hospitals, or anything like that till like 48 hours.
Bro,
like,
hitting a sandbar on a boat at 40 miles an hour.
I should have died. Yeah, just gone. I must have been launched 100 yards. Like gone.
Wow.
And I landed in like a pillow of just mud and marsh and whatnot. So I don't even believe that there's anything wrong. Like I'm so gone. Nothing's wrong. So I'm going through the wreckage and I find a fishing pole. There's no bait. I'm just sitting there with a line in the water with a hook.
No, you're not.
I'm not kidding you. This is how they found me. All of a sudden there's a fucking helicopter above me and a police boat coming at me. And it was only at that moment that I realized, I think something's wrong.
No.
Dude.
Are you serious?
I'm serious. So I get arrested. Now, at this point, I had maybe, I think it was a 12 or 15 misdemeanors.
Hold on. What do they say when they pull up on you?
So at this point, I got a 12 or 15 misdemeanors. So I'm used to getting in trouble. So I'm not even that concerned because I don't think this is a big
Just another
deal.
day.
Yeah, this is whatever. Gallivanting. I don't know what it's called at that point. So then they got this police dog that comes at me. Now I'm scared. This big German Shepherd. So apparently I swatted it. And that's assaulting an officer in New Jersey. So I don't know what happened. This guy's asked me questions. And at this point, I've gone through enough of this stuff where I know not to answer anything. I'm like, respectfully, officer, I want an attorney. I'm not going to answer any questions. So they booked me. And this guy's a really nice guy, Trooper Mazalowski. I remember his name because I wrote him a letter 10 years later.
Wow.
But I go through this process and I mean, they transfer me from, the local to the county and just trying to get a hold of somebody. So I found like, where are my papers? Like, I got to get out of here. So give me my papers. And all of a sudden I'm reading them and I see felonies. I see felony resisting arrest, felony boating while intoxicated, felony theft. I'm like, I've never been charged with felonies before. I'm sitting there. My bail was $75,000.
Wow.
And I was like, this is the most trouble I think I've ever been. I think this is real.
Be like, this is real.
So I get on a payphone because they only had payphones. At that time, you could only call landlines. At that point, who did you know what a landline? So you couldn't call cell phones for some reason.
Why?
The payphone in Cape May County Jail didn't allow you to. So I'm trying to call my friends and I can't get a hold of anyone. So how many house phone numbers do you know right now? Any?
0.
So in 2006,
my parents.
2006, the only one that I knew was my ex-girlfriend. Now, my ex-girlfriend was a conservative Christian, and her family was like,
of course,
discipling me. They were trying to help me get away from myself. And I stayed away from that kicking and screaming. So there was only one number I remembered. And for the life of me, I was like, I know I have to call this number, but I don't want to. And I pray no one answers. So in my head, I'm thinking, I was like, if they answer, in my head, I was like, I'm going to explain it X, Y, and Z.
Oh my God.
So I call the number. And all of a sudden, my ex-girlfriend's mother answers.
Was she your girlfriend at the time, or she was your
ex-girlfriend? This is ex, but we were, the family was close. So I call the number, and all of a sudden, Sandy, the mother, answers the phone. She goes, "Hello." And just as I'm about to try explaining things, it cuts you off. It says, "Will you accept a collect phone call from Cape May County Prison?"
This is great.
I hear, "Yes." I go, "Sandy, it's Justin." She goes, "What did you do?" Like, Sandy, I don't have time to explain this, but I need you to call my brother and get $75,000 down to Jersey.
Wow.
So sure enough, she gets a hold of my brother. My mom's putting up the house. My brother's co-signing this. They finally get me out like a day and a half later.
Wow.
And it was my come to Jesus moment. I sat there. I'm 21 years old. It's May 27th. I'm out of jail May 28th, 2006. And I'm saying, I'm this smart guy. My whole life, people have been telling me I have all this, potential and intelligence. And all the decisions I've made on my own have led me to this point right now where I am a 15-time convicted misdemeanor person. I have now 3 pending felonies, and I'm probably going to go to prison. I have no college education, no college diploma. Like, I did this. I did all of this. And I got on my knees. I was crying. I was like, God, save me from myself.
Wow.
Save me from myself, because I'm my own worst enemy. I was like, I turn my life over to you. I don't care what happens from now on. You're in charge. I'm just in the passenger seat. So I got a local attorney, and this guy was a recovered addict. And he basically told me, he goes, listen, with your record, you're probably going to do like a year or 2. I can get you. I'm like, wait, like real prison? Like, because, well, yeah, you don't have, this is not your first time on the first offense. I was like, look at my face. Does it look like I can go to prison? But he goes, listen, this is what you're going to do. He goes, you're going to immediately get into an AA program. You're going to do your 90 and 90. You're going to get counseling. He goes, I want to be able to show the judge all these things to help when it comes to sentencing. So I was like, all right. So I basically was just told, get ready to go to jail. You will go to jail, and start making the prep. So I'm going to be a convicted felon. And I got home. My mom threw me out of the house.
And you want to be a lawyer.
Yeah, that was gone. That idea was gone. So I'm now going to be a convicted felon. What am I going to do in my life? And I was oddly okay with it. I was just like, you know what? God, I'm just take care of me. I'm done trying to take care of my life. So I'm going to AA. I'm doing my thing. I'm getting sober, which is difficult. And
But did you, were you ready at that point? Like, that was it? You were like, did you think you would drink later?
No, I knew that I was.
Oh, literally
I hit enough. I hit rock bottom that apparently weren't exactly at the bottom, where I'd quit for a little bit and then go back. Like, this was the
Why
ultimate.
do you think you were that wild? That's wild, bro.
It's a family tradition, apparently, because my family just through and through alcoholics. So we're just not the lucky ones that could have a drink and be okay. Just not in us. All of us were alcoholics. So I got a phone call one day from my attorney. He goes, I need you to be down in Jersey tomorrow. I'm like, what happened already? I thought there was like a trial. Like, I was so confused. Like, I thought there was more time. I saw TV shows. There's juries. Like, what happened? I was so confused. So he goes, you're a lucky son of a bitch. I'm like, I haven't been called that in a while. He goes, so after you were arrested, basically the whole municipality that you were arrested in went on strike. The courts have been closed. Everything's been closed. And there's been such a backlog of cases that they're doing a plea bargain day. And anyone who is arrested in this time period is just being handed a plea bargain on all the cases. He goes, no, you need to be here tomorrow. I'm like, what? So I get down there.
What?
I got, without any issue whatsoever, I got 3 years probation with mandatory alcohol counseling. I had to pay for the boat. I had to pay the attorney fee. I had to pay for all. So about $100,000 worth of chaos.
Okay.
But if I was a good boy for 3 years and had no problems, all the charges dropped.
Wow.
It's not like a plea of guilt.
Like gone off your record.
Yeah, like they're dropped. The charges were dropped.
What?
The craziest thing I've ever seen. I mean, the second I put God in charge of my life rather than making my own decisions, he decided to give me one more chance. I mean, I don't know how many times I prayed for a second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh chance. Like, this is the one where I didn't even pray for. I just accepted I was going to jail. And he's like, you know what? I think I've seen a change, so I'm going to let you off this one last time. I didn't take that for granted.
Wow.
So I've been sober since May 29, 2006.
Holy
I've had
shit.
a sip of no drugs, no alcohol, no nothing.
Wow.
I haven't been arrested since May 29, 2006.
Wow.
So back to how I get to becoming an attorney. So
I think we kind of need to just preface this by telling people, like, for a second what you do. So, like, before I was saying, like, you're essentially the Robinhood of the banking or the mortgage world.
That's a kind way of putting it. But what I do is I represent homeowners mostly in foreclosure. And for the most part, I try to either garner them a favorable settlement when it comes to either modifying the terms of their loan, or for borrowers that are, have the risk tolerance. Sometimes there are laws that can essentially give them the house for free. People say this and it sounds disgusting, but at the end of the day, there are many laws that make a bank take timely prosecution. They can't sit on their rights. So if a lender would start a foreclosure action, it would get dismissed because they didn't serve my clients properly. And they didn't recommence an action within 6 years. The statute of limitations has expired for enforcing the loan. And therefore, I can have the mortgage deemed unenforceable. If it's unenforceable, I can then have an order to strip it from the property.
So I think every investor or has heard, oh, I'm going to litigate this and I'm going to get it for free and I'm going to get the house for free. And 99.99% of the time I was like, dude, this is a bunch of bullshit. And usually it is until I met you and I was like, oh no, this is real. Like this happens. Like I don't want to be the bank on the other side of Justin Pane. This is not what I want.
And a lot of them have come to the conclusion, the attorneys I work with on the outside, a lot of class acts, and we have an understanding that we're both very capable of what we do, and it's going to benefit our clients if we don't pull the guns out, so to speak, and just why don't we talk about this and figure out a way to make both of our clients happy rather than leave it to the court to decide who's going to be happy, because that all or nothing equation, it hurts. It hurts a lot.
Yeah, no, I learned very early in business when I had the Mako that you don't want to really go the distance in court because you never know what's going to happen. Like anything can and will happen. And when you think you're 100% right and you're like, the law's on your side and you're like, there's no way I'm going to lose this, you will lose.
In a way you've never even imagined could happen.
And you'll just be like, how did that
I've had it happen. I've had it happen enough times that I refuse to ever tell someone how good their case really is, even if I believe it to be a killer, because I have seen crazier things happen. Crazy. And thankfully I learned that in the Mako days on like little paint job type of stuff. So it was good for the future where it's like, just figure out a way to settle. Figure out a way to settle, move on. Everyone's a little pissed. You move on because it's not worth. And then I tell the banks too, their attorneys. You know, I have some clients that are very dangerous because they don't have the ability to settle. Like I have some clients who, you know, cancer diagnosis, all their money has gone to hospital bills. They have no money. They have no income. They had to quit their job or they couldn't even work anymore. So those clients are dangerous because even if you gave them a favorable settlement that for 9 out of 10 people would take that deal in a second, these clients are not in a position where they can take any settlements. And I've got some dangerous people here because it is going to be all or nothing. So I tell them that up front, like, listen, if we can't work something out between us, like it's going to either be a sick deal for my clients or they're okay with gambling the whole thing because they
have nothing to lose.
They have nothing to lose and no ability to do anything but gamble.
That's a scary situation, though.
It is a scary. And I tell them that up front. Like, this is not a threat. This is just the reality of the situation we're in. So just understand that.
No, it's scary to be dealing with, like, if I'm a bank, it's scary to be dealing with a person like that. Because on the outset, you're like, this is crazy. This is not good. But you never know. All it takes is one judge who, for whatever.
Constantly.
And so, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, you're the only attorney I know that didn't go to law school.
So I went to law school. So basically, after my shenanigans of my early years, I finished college. I got my undergraduate degree at St. John's University. And at that point, I was working with my brother. We did some mortgage work, some mortgage bank. My family was always involved in real estate. So I had that background. But I did want to go to law school. And I wanted to become an attorney, but you know, at this point, I got married in 2008. So I was 23 when I got married. So I got married young, a love of my life for 14 years now. And I was like, I don't have time to just
Wait, let me digress for a second. How did you go from I know you, but I'm partying to almost getting arrested, crashing a boat to now you guys are together?
So the story of God constantly blessing me for no good. I'm living proof that karma doesn't exist, because if karma existed, I would be just in shambles.
That's good to know.
I'm living proof karma doesn't exist. Like, trust me. Great things happen to bad people. Great things.
Every day.
So after I get sober, randomly, this beautiful girl from the farmlands of Indiana that I met my freshman year of college decides to take a job in New York City where she never applied to a job. She never looked at it. She actually hated New York. She's from the farmlands of Indiana. Like, this girl is as wholesome as they get. And she randomly takes a job in New York, and somehow we get reacquainted where, like, I know she's in New York. Now, I am on probation. I am days into sobriety. I'm a fucking mess. But I look at this girl, I'm like, is this another gift you're giving me, God? So first my freedom, and now the girl of my dreams.
This heavenly woman.
Yeah, like basically. So sure enough, we start talking, and she winds up losing her job, and we get to hang out all the time because she lost her job. So like, great. We get to see each all the time. And just fell head over heels in love. And I told my mom the first day we hung out, I was like, Mom, this is the girl that if I could, I would marry.
Wow.
And my mom's never even heard me talk about any girl like that because girls were dispensable for a long time in my life.
Wow.
So it was, the girl of my dreams. But again, I finished school. I don't know what to do. So I do some research. I find out in New York, there are two ways to become, there are several ways, but the two primary ways to become an attorney essentially are you go to law school. You got to pass the law school entrance exam, the LSAT. You got to get into a law school. You got to do it between 3 and 5 years, whether it's full-time or part-time. Some people can do it a little bit less. And then you got to study for the bar exam. You got to take the bar exam. So you're looking at like this 4-year process of spending a lot of money on law school, full-time. I was like, then there's something else. I started reading this other thing. It's a clerkship law office study program. Rule 500.4 of the Court of Appeals rules, 22 NYCR. So I read this thing. And basically it says, let's talk about work hours, but the gist of it is, if you go to law school for 1 year and you're in good standing, meaning that you could continue if you wanted to, you had good enough grades, and most law schools, that's like a B average or B minus average, you can opt out of finishing law school. And with your 1 year basis of law school, you can work under the supervision of one or more attorneys. And it's like a clerkship. And they basically say the on-job experience you get from that is the equivalent of going to law school.
Wow.
So once you do the 1 year, then if you're working at a law firm full-time, it's a 3-year aggregate of that. So 4 year altogether, basically. 1 year of law school, 3 years of work study. So I was already working at the law firm since 2009. So I was there. I petitioned the Court of Appeals to see if I can get retroactive application for the years that I did before, but they said, no, you have to do 1 year of law school. So I started working at the law firm in 2009 with the owner of the firm, Ivan Young, who we kept his name on the firm. It's Young Law Group, and he's no longer with the firm. He's in Albany right now working for the state Senate, but love him. He's my mentor. He's the reason why I'm an attorney. So I started working with him in 2009. I went to law school in 2013. I went for 1 year, went to Toro Law School here in Central Islip. I was working full-time, husband full-time, daddy full-time, student full-time.
Wow.
At 30 whatever years old. I mean, it was just a nightmare. It was like the worst experience of my life. But I got the 1 year done. I had good enough grades that I could continue. I chose not to. And then I went back to work like it didn't happen. Like I just pretended law school was a blur, like it didn't happen. I went back to work like I was doing. I was paralegal. And for the next three years flies by. And all of a sudden, I got to start studying for the bar exam. So I didn't even learn half the stuff that's on the bar exam. I only went to school for 1 year. I didn't learn, criminal procedure or constitutional law, and that's all on the exam. So I find the God's gift of bar examination tutors. This guy, Ken Leff. This is a shout out to Ken. I'll link you, whatever it is. It's God's gift to the bar exam. He goes, Justin, I'm going to teach you exactly what you need to know to pass. No more, no less. And if you do this, he just gave me, he goes, if you do these things, you will pass. Like it was a guarantee.
Wow.
Because just do what I tell you to do. So I met with him for 9 months before the bar exam. I spent a lot of money on tutoring, but I saved so much by not going to law school.
Yeah, and you got to work normally while you were, and I would actually argue, I mean, that you probably learned more just working than you did in law
absolutely.
school.
I mean, most people from law school will tell you that, they learn the law on the job. They don't really learn it in school.
Yeah.
But take the bar exam. My wife is 9 months pregnant with my second child. I'm taking the bar exam. I'm in the city. I finished the last day of the bar exam. I'm done. Oh, I can't wait. I call her up. Her mom answers the phone. Kathy, where's Julia? So she went into labor. Last day of the exam. I'm running from Manhattan in the middle of a nor'easter. Some tree goes down on the Jamaica line. I get taken out of the train. The line's closed. I take an Uber from Jamaica to Stony Brook Hospital, and I made it in time for my second son to be born.
Wow.
It was a crazy period. But after that, I passed the bar exam first time around. I got sworn in. I've actually only been practicing law since February of 2019. It's been a little over 2 years.
Wow, that's it?
That's it. I mean, I've been in the field for 12 years now, but I've only been practicing for 2 years.
That still exists though? Like if somebody wants to do that same thing today,
yes,
they could do it.
Absolutely. Very few people even know that it exists or have the ability to do it. They're scared. They don't have the confidence, but it is absolutely available. And another attorney I know who's a Supreme Court litigator, she litigates in the U.S. Supreme Court. She's an absolute pit bull shark. She didn't graduate law school. She has I don't have a Juris Doctorate degree. So I have a bachelor degree and I have 1 year of law school, but they always ask you, oh, where'd you graduate law school? I go, I didn't. They're like, well, how are you an attorney? And I go through the short version of that story, but
Wow.
it is unnecessary.
Why this type of law? I'm just curious.
I love it. I absolutely love helping people. I love the challenges. It's complicated. It's ever changing. The law is constantly evolving in this area of work because, again, being on the investor side of it, there's always some new law that came out that you have to do, I'll comply with in one way, but still got to figure out a way to, put food on the table. So there's just so many factors to it. And real estate drives every market globally. I mean, real estate drives, if real estate's bad, everything is bad. If real estate's good, everything is good. So, it's such a driving force. I like to be involved in it and I understand it. And I'm good at it.
Little bit. Everybody obviously has just natural gifts and abilities. You could tell by talking to you for like 3 minutes that this is what you were meant to do. I love it. This is what you were meant to do. And God forbid somebody gets on your bad side.
Well, that's the worst thing because I don't take most of my matters personally. Like, this is my job. I understand that. And I advocate for my clients zealously at every juncture. But there are those times where something will get under my skin. And now this is my problem. I'm not helping.
I'm going to unleash hell.
Now you've made this my problem or you've made this my issue. And I have unlimited resources. I can litigate this for the end of the world. And I will.
This is basically like how your brother introduced me to you. He's like, listen, you need my brother for this matter. He's going to be amazing. He's like, my brother is literally the scariest person to be on the other side of in any kind of like mortgage related matter. He's like, he basically like, I would never, ever, ever want to be on the other side. Like, he's my attorney. He's my brother. Yes. But like, there's no way that he can ever represent somebody else against me because it's horrifying. The thought of my brother. And then he told me kind of like that next thing, he goes, God forbid he takes it personal. That's it. He won't stop. He doesn't stop. He just keeps going for his clients and going.
I've told adversaries this. I'm like, don't make this my problem. Like, this is our clients' problems. Like, don't make this personal. Don't bring me involved because I keep a very small firm. I keep small overhead. Like, I got nothing but time. Like, I don't have a huge operation where I don't have the luxury of taking things personally. Like, I have the luxury of taking things personally. I've established that in my life. So don't give me a reason. Just let's play fair and we'll have no problems, but just don't make it personal.
Let's talk about, since obviously a bunch of people that listen to this are into investing, because that's what we do. Let's talk about how you work with investors and kind of like the unique strategies that they implement and you assist with to essentially get them good deals and make money.
So I represent several types of investors, and I'll go down a couple briefly. One of them will be the note buyer. I'll have a client who is interested in buying defaulted notes, usually first or second positions from another, either a direct lending institution or an investment bank, a hedge fund. And basically it'll be the due diligence. I'll go through the notes or what's called the loan tape of the possibilities of what they're looking to buy, whether it be a small pool, large, and identify the headaches, basically. Identify either the ones that you don't want to purchase, the risk is too high, or the ones that are going to give you more of a negotiation point with whoever you're buying the notes from, because, these people, that this note in particular is unenforceable. Statute of limitations run on it. It's not worth the paper it's written on right now. So I'd have to get it for a penny on the dollar because it may very well be deemed unenforceable. So I have the one client that does the note purchases, and then I assist them in either foreclosing on the note. So I'll actually be he's the bank or she's the bank, and I'll be the foreclosing entity, or we'll work out a deal with the homeowner to, just basically if my client buys a note for cheap enough and he can offer the homeowner $100,000 to walk away, homeowner's going to take that and run. My client's got clear title, flips the property usually, or rehabs and rents it out. The other investors I deal with, some of them are basically just picking up distressed assets. If they find a vacant home, this is big in Brooklyn and Queens, they'll look to see if a property's boarded up. If the property's boarded up, property's vacant, the Home Equity Theft Prevention Act is basically not applicable. And that act limits what investors can do whenever they're trying to buy something from a homeowner in distress. But if the property's vacant, the act does not apply. There's really
kidding.
there's no teeth in it. So they'll look for boarded up properties. They'll find these boarded up properties. Then they'll do the due diligence. They'll become private eyes. They will find the old owner, find where they are, find a way to contact them, and then offer to buy the deed to the property.
Talk to me about buying deeds for a minute, because I don't I've heard it's a gray area. I heard it's illegal. I heard it's not.
It's gray. It's gray, but then there are limited circumstances where it is legal. The one I'm running through right now is the legal version. Most
examples I've heard of people buying deeds, which is super sketchy, is people buy deeds, they stall the foreclosure process, they stick people in houses, and they rent them for as long as possible.
And legally, they may be able to do that. I mean, as long as
bananas.
Even if the homeowner is living there, they can sell the deed, and they will be bound by the Home Equity Theft Prevention Act. So the deal could be undone basically at any time. And the homeowner can come back and say, you know what, you screwed me. And the court will probably rule in their favor. But until that happens, the deed is in my name. I'm the owner of the property. Wow. I can rent the property out for as long as I please. And I'm allowed to defend the litigation against the property because I can protect my property from the litigation. So there are some people who will do exactly that and just collect rental income for as long as possible. They'll buy a deed for $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 and collect rental income, upwards of $100,000 or so. And then once the property goes to foreclosure, auction, and sale, that's it. Their hands are clean. The bank takes the deed out of their hands.
People in the house and all, just take it.
Well, yeah, then the bank's got to deal with them.
It's crazy.
So there's that version. The other version, the cleaner version, is if they're not there, by the deed, they would call me first. They'd find this property. Go, this is one I'm interested in.
This is good for Long Island too, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Is this countrywide, basically?
I can't speak to anything outside of New York.
Okay.
But, they'll find a property. They go, listen, is this, this is what I think I could get the deed for. It's like $20,000. And I'll see if the mortgage securing the property has any defects in it. If they're, especially really the big one is statute of limitations. If there is a chance that this loan is time barred and I can prove that in the court of law, it is a good deal. Because what'll happen is they'll buy the deed, they'll hire me, I'll go in, I'll litigate the foreclosure and specifically the issue of statute of limitations. And normally, if it's a good argument, the bank will just take 20, 30 cents on a first position mortgage just to be able to get something. So, recently I had one where it was I think the client owed $500,000 and the bank took $30,000 because the loan was time barred. They were done. So $30,000 today is great. So my client buys the deed for $20,000, $30,000, litigation, let's say all included $75,000. Property's worth about $455,000.
Wow.
And what's crazy is during this time that the foreclosure is going on, they were litigating, the bank, to protect their lien, they're paying the tax and the insurance. So you're not even advancing the cost.
So it just has to be vacant, or it has
vacant
to be boarded?
Makes it safe. Vacant makes it safe. Just vacant. It doesn't have to be boarded, but usually property is vacant by mail or boards.
How do you go about documenting that it is actually vacant?
Well, normally it's going to be because the people, when they sign it in front of a notary, a lot of times they're out of state. A lot of them move down south. So they'll be witnessed, a signature, they'll be their ID. Like we make them prove it. They sign affidavits swearing that they don't occupy the property. There's photos of the property showing it is unoccupied. So you document it.
Is buying the deed okay?
Yes, absolutely. You can buy a deed.
In that circumstance.
It's a quick claim deed. So you have the knowledge that you're buying a deed with a $500,000, $600,000 mortgage encumbering it. So you're going into it on paper as it's a bad deal. Like you're buying possession to a property, but it's not clean. You've got a title riddled with judgments and liens. Yeah. But you're okay with it because the only use you're going to use for it is going to be to rent it and to litigate. And if you can win the litigation, then you may just flip it or just keep renting it.
Do people actually, in those situations, do they keep them vacant? I guess it depends on the condition. Do they keep them vacant? They usually
depends on the condition. If it's something that they can move in ready or minimal investment to have it rentable, the advice always is to make sure it's income producing while any kind of litigation is unresolved. Put the money in, get people in there. But the litigation process in New York is the longest in the country. It takes 35 years.
If you had the deed, even though the tax bill is not in your name, could you rent to like a CDC or Section 8 program?
I don't know.
That's interesting.
I don't know what the guidelines are. I just know that you are the legal owner of the property.
This is craziness. Keep going. Tell me more. Tell me more. So basically, so before they buy the deeds, you essentially do due diligence for them. You screen, you look at all the more docs and everything and say, is this something that we need to do or not?
This is what you should do. This is your risk going into, and this is the amount that you should be probably paying for it.
How long does the litigation process Do you actually litigate, or is it usually more of a negotiation the bank realizes?
Negotiation doesn't happen till litigation. I mean, if I
Okay.
just told them, hey, your loan's time barred, okay, I don't believe you. I file a motion and in front of a judge waiting to make a decision. Now it's a real negotiation. I mean, you need leverage. You can't just say these
Yeah.
things. You got to do it.
On the average, how long does this process usually take? Can it take years and years and years and years?
So many years. So, I mean, I have cases right now that I'm working on with 2009, 2010 index numbers. That means the case started in 2009, 2010. That's 10, 11 years ago.
What?
Oh yeah, it's not uncommon, like not even remotely uncommon. And now add in COVID. Basically, most foreclosures at this day and age are done on Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, or FHA loans. Mostly
Okay.
after the crash, private lending went gone. So the only lending that was done were government-sponsored loans. So
Okay.
Fannie, Freddie, FHA. There's been a moratorium on those loans on foreclosure since March of last year that it goes through now August 31st of this year. So 80 to 90% of foreclosures are on those type of loans haven't been conducted. Do you have any idea how many? I mean, right now, New York was doing about 5,000 to 6,000 foreclosures per year. So we're talking about roughly about 20,000 foreclosures that are backlogged right now that have not been filed that have to be filed.
It's like, from a court processing standpoint, it's like '08 all over again.
100%. So you want to talk about backlogs, and a lot of the judges, the judges get moved around. The New York State budget got cut when it comes to judiciary, so they lost a lot of judges. They just got a new budget, so they're going to get the judges back. But the new elections, judges get transferred, and all their cases, hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of cases get transferred to a new judge. Like, it's chaos. I filed a motion recently, and I put a return date saying I want this addressed essentially initially in like a month. The court unilaterally changed my return date from, I think it was February to October. They said, we'll get to this in October. I mean, there's nothing going on right now, really, because there's no real foreclosures being litigated. There's no new actions. But they just, a year. Now, again, okay, I have no control of this, but if you're a lender, I got to pay years more taxes, insurance, and all these other things just because the court decided to just adjourn it.
What if it's private? If it's like
Private
money?
yeah, those can foreclose. Those are the only actions that have been filed.
Well, the stuff that we're doing, can I do that now or no?
Stuff that you're doing.
That package.
You can, but you still have to send out a mandatory COVID hardship, meaning that if these people even smell, if they can in any way allege they've been negatively affected by COVID, which I don't know anyone who can't sign that,
Yeah.
then you cannot. If they send that back to you after you send it to them, then you cannot till August 31st.
What about as a hard money lender? Same thing?
As long as it's commercial, as if it's not an individual. The problem is when you're dealing with individuals. So if it's commercial, if you're lending to an LLC or an Inc., that's a different story.
Which is why, as a hard money lender, which you do, you would never lend to a person.
I'm dealing with a loan right now, a hard money loan that was supposed to be made out to an entity. And for some reason, this hard money lender, I mean, this is the worst oversight I've ever seen by a hard money lender. Something got messed up and they lent to my client individually. And in all essence, it qualifies now as a personal home loan, like defined by statute as like a consumer loan.
So this thing is
every regulation in the world that you would violate by giving a consumer loan and why you don't do that and you give commercial loans has been now violated. I mean, they got a problem.
So the lender's taking a bath.
Oh yeah, big time,
They're going to take a bath.
big time. They made a big mistake.
Investing is not a game.
No, this is real money. And again, it's something that I was thinking about on the way here. As I get older, I realize the less and less I know. Like growing up, I know everything. A teen, I know this. I'm wise enough now to realize I know nothing. Anything that comes up, I reevaluate. I don't assume anything anymore. Nothing's assumed. Everything, Justin, foreclosure events better than anyone. Today I do. But give me a scenario and I'm going to look through it like I've never looked at one of these before because I'm smart enough to know now that shit happens all the time and real money's involved. These are real lives involved. When I talk about these homes, I'm talking about families. I'm talking about kids displaced. These are real issues that you don't take lightly. And my investors, I treat their money like it's my money. I don't ever, say, oh, this guy's got big pockets or this woman's got, this huge deal. And, this is little money to her. Like every penny is negotiated, every dollar, like it's my own money because it's important. This is how you make a living. This is how you provide. That's how you give an income to people around you. Like, I mean, I talk about all the time the responsibility of providing incomes for people around you. Like, you don't have the ability to be selfish. Like, you talk about, crazy people driving fast cars we're talking about. Like, you have too many people underneath you right now where you don't have the luxury to do that. You don't have the luxury of being irresponsible. If you were to get into a car crash and you couldn't work, how many people are affected by that?
Yeah.
How many?
200-300. I mean, my foreman worked in, I remember like 6 months ago, and he's like, we basically support like 300 people. When you start talking about like the subcontractors and their families and all this stuff, he's like, yeah, it literally.
It's important for people to keep that in mind, that perspective, because, you get an ego. You start being successful in business, you get this ego that, I'm untouchable, I can do this. And no, you just have more to lose. You have more to lose. That's it. And more people depend on you.
It's true. Yeah, more pressure, more responsibility.
Absolutely.
So for anybody out there, I mean, obviously I know that you do a bunch of things within the legal field, but what is your real like sweet spot of stuff that you're like your niche?
I love dealing with investors that have complicated real estate situations or investment projects. You'll come to me with an idea or something like that, and you and I will brainstorm. I love that. I love the brainstorming. I love working with clients to create, just creative solutions to a problem that most people can't, figure out or would just walk away from. I mean, those are the best opportunities. You know better than most that, the situation everyone walks away from is usually the most amount of money in the deal or the best, but someone's got to figure out a way to make it work. Most people won't take the time to do so. So I enjoy that. And again, I love representing homeowners. I love these poor people who they get victimized because, these low lives don't pay their bills. Have you ever been in a situation where you couldn't pay your bills? Do you know the guilt that comes along with that? The feeling of just complete demoralization that you can't provide for your family? Do you feel like a loser? Like my poor clients, and I have to walk them off the ledge. I have so many clients who just like, they give up on life. They don't open their mail. And I'm sitting there, I was like, you know what's going to happen? If you die tomorrow, well, you know what's not going to be written on your gravestone? Here lies mother of this, great as it. But she didn't pay her bills. She didn't pay her mortgage. I'm like, that mortgage is 17 pages. Find in there the morality clause, where by not paying this, not only do we get to foreclose, but you're a bad person. You won't find it. It's not there. It's a risk. This is a risk. These banks understand that we're going to give you X amount of dollars for X amount of dollars in return. That's it. That's all this is. This is a contract. If you breach the contract, there are remedies the bank can have, and they will exercise them. That's it. Don't make this about you as this is your personal reflection of who you are as a person. It's not that. It's a contract. Keep it simple.
One last question, a little off topic, but still real estate related. What do you think about what's going on with the 1031 exchange and possibly shelving that?
Above my pay grade, but I mean, it's available now, and just like any tax provision, I mean, every administration they change, so It's available now. Maybe it goes away this administration, maybe it comes back next administration. So whenever there's something there, you make decisions in the moment. You don't. It's tough to prospectively plan around that stuff.
Yeah, no, and I guess for everything that's created, there's a workaround. There's something else created.
Absolutely. I mean, just you gotta be smart and keep smart people around you. Like I don't pretend to know anything about anything outside the very limited field that I work in. I have smart people around me. I hire people to do everything around me because I know I can't do that stuff, and I won't even try to do it. I hire smart people.
No, smart. I couldn't say it better myself. I really appreciate you coming down, man. It was
My
awesome
pleasure.
to finally meet you in person. You've done amazing things for me, and I can't wait to continue and do more together. If people are interested, whether they're investors, homeowners, they want to reach out to you, how do they get in touch with you?
Easy, younglawgroup.org. Younglawgroup.org. Website has a contact form. You fill in, we'll get back to you usually within 24 hours. If it's an investor client, usually I will meet with them personally to begin with, go over the portfolio, free consultations, and the website has all the information.
Love it. I don't know about anybody else out there, but I'm going hunting for vacant properties that I can buy deeds after this podcast episode. So we're going to add that to the spiel. So obviously I'm the Handsome Homebuyer. You have a house that smells like Cappy. Apparently now vacant houses where you will sell me the deed. I want to buy it. 516-777 sold. And obviously you need permits, anything permit related. You got to call the Captain 516-513-8838. That's a wrap.